Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Iron Kaiser Gaming. And in today's video, I want to showcase one of the coolest real-time strategy mods I have ever had the pleasure of playing. This is a crown jewel in the RTS modding sphere, just a real testament to the creativity that's out there in the Age of Empires community. But at the same time, it's also a mod that if you've never heard of it before, you may never get the chance to play this mod. It is Wars of Liberty, and this is a total conversion mod for Age of Empires 3, the classic legacy version, not the definitive edition. What this mod does is it takes the game and moves it forward in the timeline. We're talking about the late 18th into the 19th and even the early 20th century. And it doesn't just change the timeline, it completely reworks the game. I mean, you're bringing in a whole bunch of new civilizations, new features and mechanics, new native units and maps, total reworking of the old civilizations. I mean, complete transformations, right? Just about everything in this game has been touched and changed pretty radically. It's pretty cool to see. So, let's go ahead and actually dive in. And let me show you, first of all, as I pull up the skirmish map here. Let's just take a look at all of the civilizations that are available in this version of Wars of Liberty. We have the Ethiopians, the Dutch, the Tupi, the Paraguayans, the Greeks, the Chinese, the Serbians, Germans, Colombians, Belgians, Romanians, Argentines, Zulu, the Egyptians, Haudenosaunee, Danes, Inca, Indians, Japanese, Koreans, Lakota, Ottomans, Peruvians, Portuguese, British, Australians, Mexicans, Maori, French, Mapuche, Canadians, Brazilians, Italians, Spanish, Bulgarians, United States, Russians, Swedes, Chile, and the Austro-Hungarians. Each of those civilizations belong to different cultures, and all of the civs within a particular culture, like the Europeans or the Asians or the colonial states or the nation states or the Africans or whatever, those cultures all share the same or similar attributes and bonuses and features and civilization mechanics. And then each civilization within that culture has their own individual bonuses and features, and their way of playing with those mechanics changes. They all have their own decks with their wildly unique cards and their unique play styles, and their unique mercenaries and everything else. It's just a wild total conversion mod. So in today's video, I've decided I'm going to show off Gran Colombia, which is a member of the South American colonial state faction or the culture, right? Let's go ahead and just dive right in here. I'm going to say out of the gate, as we get into this, and you guys will see just how cool this mod is and how much that's going for it. But as we kind of make our opening moves here, I would say that this mod is perfect for the kind of player. If you're the kind of person who A, owns the classical edition of Age of Empires 3, and then B, you really enjoy the single player aspect, you like just kind of playing around with all the different parts of the game, this is the perfect mod for you. But you should absolutely give this a shot because it doesn't get better than this. Alright, as we get our unique villager, the Wana, the Colombian villager that excels in melee combat. So, to my understanding, they're not really any different than villagers. Some civilizations' unique units, unique vills, are very different. The Gran Colombian Vill, not very different. She just, you can even see the sword in the profile picture, right? So she's able to fight off attackers much more effectively in melee than most. Our unique explorer here, the Libertador, Simon Bolivar himself. He's pretty much like a normal explorer.
I will exhibit this notoriously big collection in the White House.
That's hilarious. Francisco Morazon. I don't know what White House you have. So the AI leaders, some of them reuse the old voice lines, right? Although I think some of them actually do have some unique new dialogue, but I might be mistaken about that. Anyway, the Libertador, he's like by default pretty similar to the regular explorer, but he does have the ability to build tent houses, which are kind of like mini houses. They cost half the wood cost, but they only support half the population. So, little A, little B. But I guess it's a nice way to keep your population limits going without actually having to stop your bills from working, right? Let's go ahead and send some Juanas. And then Marianism, one of the many unique cards. It will ship a temple right now in the Dark Age. Or in the Dark Age. In the Enlightenment Age. And then we'll be able to build a second temple in Age 2. Alright, exploring that. Now, one of the unique features of the South American civilizations, they have access to a mechanic called immigrants, where you basically are able to import in mini factions to help support your civilization. Some of the South American civs, like Chile, for example, get access to the immigrants right away in Age 2. You'll pick a politician, and the politician will be like Irish immigrants, or I'm trying to remember the others, like German immigrants, or even Confederate immigrants, the losers of the American Civil War, right? Confederates moved to South America. You can bring them in. And depending on which immigrants you pick, you get access to different technologies, different units that can support you. It's really, really cool. For Gran Colombia, we start off with a politician. In the green here, we're going to get something right away, like 500 food, 400 coin, or whatever. But then, they're going to get access, whichever one I pick, gives us access to a second wave French immigrant. We'll talk about the waves a little later, but you'll pick the French immigrants, the Confederate immigrants, the Arab immigrants as an option, right? And finally, in the yellow, we get access to a different kind of elite Gran Colombian military unit. For right now, let's go ahead and pick the Venezuelan visionary. And the Irish immigrants will be available to us as an option in the next age. Go throw it on church. And speaking of immigrants, most immigrants are available to you by aging up, but you do have access to the Spanish immigrant wagon available here in Age 1. So I'm actually going to do that right now and get them up and running.
Sí. Entendido.
Where on earth is my opponent?
Sin retroceder.
Oh, maybe over here? I don't know. We'll let the explorer do his thing. Okay, here we go. We're going to be in Age 2 now. Now, our economy is going to move very quickly because of the handicap that I gave myself, just in order to, move through the game quickly. In a real AoE3 game, in a real Wars of Liberty game, I find that the economy, if anything, maybe even moves a little bit slower. It's at least the same thing, right? Okay, so here we go. We have a Spanish wagon, and we get like a little mini town center. One of my favorite features of this mod is all of the architectural changes that come with each of the civilizations and the sub-civs. So depending on the colony that you get, like for example, I'm actually going to ship this other colony, the German colony. I'm going to ship that right now. And each colonial town center is unique. Alright, so in addition to my regular TC here, now I have the Spanish colony, and I can train my unique Spanish villagers. These are Spanish shearers. They collect more slowly from most things than normal bills, but they collect very quickly from coin herdables, which we're going to see in just 1 second. Every immigrant can build the normal buildings that you can build, right? But they also get access to unique houses. And the Spanish house lets you train wool sheep.
Constructora.
Wool sheep
Constructora. Leñadora.
are harvested for coin rather than food.
Richtig. Ja.
We've got a German colony over here.
Verstanden. Hallo? Ja.
And the German colonists,
Zimmermann.
I know they look like settler wagons, but they're not. They are German masons. The German masons, they also collect slower than normal, but they build very quickly. Alright, let's see here.
¿Qué me ordena?
I'm going to go ahead and build a second church. Because why not? I love getting XP.
Leñador.
Getting my shipments out fast. Let's ship 700 coin. Why not? Conscript's already on the field. Oh, I know you guys want to see the military options that are available to Gran Colombia. We will take a look at those in just 1 second.
Preparado.
In fact,
Constructora. Hola.
I will go ahead and get out some military buildings right now.
Bereit. Verstanden. Zimmermann. Zimmermann. Holzfäller.
Okay. So if we take a look at the Spanish colony, I gotta talk about these immigrants for a little bit here. In the Spanish colony, well, in every colony, you get access to the firemen. This is basically the immigrant version of the town militia, right? You can call them out to sort of defend the colony. You get access to a unique immigrant military unit. So with the Spanish, you have the Criollo legion. They're line infantry, right? Then over here with the Germans, you get access to the Batallo de Diabo Legion, German cavalry. And you'll notice they don't cost any resources. What they do cost is a shipment. So whether you're shipping out these units, yeah, you can actually train as many of these as you want, as long as you have the shipments. They cost shipments. You also have some unique technologies. Oktoberfest sends you food and coin. The advanced fireman card makes your town militia here better, right? Over with the Spanish, you will see that you have access to a lot. Enganchadores. Each Spanish immigrant tech comes with a free shearer, starting with this one. Permits you to have shearers over the allowed limit. Oh, by the way, I forgot to do this. Let's train up these sheep. They cost some coin, 50 coin, but then they're worth 150 coin once they're fully fattened. So this is a great way of getting unlimited coin and getting your eco going, right? All right, let's take a look at the military here. In the Gran Colombian military, we have access to a really cool infantry unit, the Escopetero. This is a ranged infantry with a shotgun. Does good, like, damage in sort of a spread. Almost imagine in Age of Empires 2 an organ gun. It's kind of like that as an infantry unit. You'll notice that it becomes exponentially stronger against packed masses of units. It's really great at dealing with waves of enemy infantry. Not as great in one-on-one fights because of the low accuracy, but really good in mass. The Pardo, a irregular armed with a spear. So basically just our spearman unit. You guys know all about them. The Conscript, kind of our musket unit, heavy ranged infantry. Carries a bayonet to beat shock units. Then we've got the Machetero, the assault hand infantry armed with a machete in droves resistant to skirmish and artillery fire. And then we have the Voltiguero, a skirm with high hit points and double armor. Discharges its musket before engaging in hand combat. Very interesting. Then with the cavalry, we have the Llanero, basic lancer. Less HP, more attack. Kind of like the German Ulan in the regular AoE3. And then the Jinete, maneuver cavalry, good against shock units. One thing you may notice if you're really into Age of Empires 3 is that the unit classes are very different in Wars of Liberty. So you've got things like, instead of just heavy cav, light cav, heavy infantry, light infantry, you've got to get used to all of these new terminologies like shock infantry, line infantry, assault infantry, maneuver units, and I think it's shock infantry, like shock cavalry, whatever, shock units. And I think that means that if you're an AoE3 fan and you're really into the multiplayer scene, this will be maybe a little bit tougher to get into. It's just a more complex game. There's so much stuff that has been added into all of these different civilizations that trying to wrap your head around it would take a long, long time. All right, let's take a look. The Ecuadorian Marxist, the Panamanian investor, the Colombian Criollo, the second Irish wave. And you'll notice I say the second Irish wave, right? Well, what does that mean? Well, when you send them in waves, normally, like if I look at the Germans here, these are first wave Germans. They only have access to these two technologies in the first wave. And you get access to, I think, one unique unit. If you ship the second wave, then you get access to a second tier of technologies, and if I'm not mistaken, a second. Let me actually hold on one second. A second set of unique units, right? So you're basically investing into your immigrants and the Irish immigrants even harder, right? Normally, like with Peru, you have the option of just continually aging up with one immigrant family in order to sort of develop their technology tree really heavily. But of course, you lose out on the opportunity to grab different kinds of immigrants, right? Here with Gran Colombia, I kind of pick the Irish, or if I pick some of these others, well, by picking the Irish, I do get the Fenians, but I'm not unlocking the other immigrant types. I'm also not unlocking the super elite unique units later on. I will go ahead and pick up the Irish, though. They are one of my favorite immigrant groups to use.
Abastecedora.
All right, notice how my wool sheep are all ready to be harvested.
Hola.
Let's go ahead and get them
Lo haré.
going. Don't think I have anything else in H2 I really want to pick up.
Sí.
Nah, I think we're good.
Voy a hacerlo. Hola.
Yeah. They're gathering just like regular sheep, but it's coin instead of food. So, pretty cool stuff. Okay, the artillery. And while I actually, let me really quickly pull up the arsenal. No, that's H3, never mind. I will build the town hall. That's another good thing to talk about.
Sí, mamá. Sí, mamá. Holzfäller.
Okay. So, in the artillery range, we have the artisanal cannon. It's basically think of like the Swedish leather cannons from Definitive Edition. This is a cannon that's much better against infantry than it is against buildings. Beside that, we have the Volante, good against other artillery, so kind of a cauldron-like unit. We have the Pedrero, definitely our mortar-style unit. And finally, the Exploding Cart, kind of like the Petard, right?
Roy,
Okay.
Golur.
Here's our Irish wagon. Let's go ahead and get the Irish immigrants set up. Our Fenians also on the way. And let's go ahead. We definitely cannot do any fighting without getting some escopetero going. So
Hallo?
let's build some houses.
Lo haré.
Wow.
Constructora.
Leñadora.
Okay, now one thing I definitely have to talk about as we get the escopetero on the way. So we get access to the town hall, which gives us the Codillo. And if we hover over the Codillo, he says, like, it's a corrupt landowner who trains outlaws to do his dirty work. And one of the things that I find really interesting about this mod is it does not shy away from, let's say, darker aspects of history, right? So, for example, with many of the South American civilizations, you have this Codillo, and which I'm gathering represents some of the corruption that many of these countries had to deal with in their that early founding. All right, so with the Codillo, you can use him to move around the map and train up mercenaries. And not only that, but you have these different technologies that, again, thematically kind of represent false promises and corruption. But they empower your outlaws, right? Outlaws occupy less population space. Outlaws cost less coin. They get more HP. And they do more damage, right? So if you are a fan of using outlaws in AoE3, this is definitely the kind of civ you'd want to play, one of these South American civilizations. There are other civs that, well, for example, with the United States, the colonial civilizations, the US, Canada, and Australia, their unique feature is that as you go up the ages, you can lead the faction down one of two different choices. And for the United States, you're given the option of either going down the federal United States path or the Confederate path. And in both of those options, the Wars of Liberty does not shy away from saying, hey, slavery was a part of the economy and the culture of America. And if you go down the U.S. path, you're given the option, is abolition something you want to explore? But it doesn't sort of shy away from that embarrassing aspect and that shameful aspect of, U.S. history, let alone, obviously, Confederate history, right? Same thing is true for Brazil. I think if I remember my history correctly, Brazil actually had the largest slave economy, in the 1800s. So that plays a theme and a feature in how you play those civilizations. So it's very interesting, maybe divergence from what you would expect from kind of an official Forgotten Empires or World's Edge release for AoE3. And they do it in a way that I don't think that they're, reveling in anything they shouldn't be reveling in, right? I mean, but they're just saying, hey, this is a historical reality. We're a history game, so we want to sort of reflect the reality of the lived-in world at that time. So, anyway, okay, let's move you back to the coin mine. So I mentioned the town hall. We've already talked about them. And speaking of, let me go ahead and grab that. Why do I have a water buffalo there? I want you. Okay, let's train some Salteador, which in Wars of Liberty is an outlaw unit on a cavalry unit, that generates gold every time it fires. I find that with at least Gran Colombia, it's like you don't get access to factories in Age 4, but you have a lot of different ways of getting a small amount of, whether you're using the Spanish to, constantly train up more sheep, or, you can use the Salteador to help just sort of supplement your coin eco. You have a lot of really unique ways of developing your economy in this mod. Alright, let's get into the fight here. There we go. Come on, guys. Start fighting. Water buffalo, you can go back over here. Alright. Now, I was going to showcase something. Yes, let's pull up. I think if you're going to play Gran Colombia, you must have Grito de Independencia.
Are you sending us men to fill the ranks of our militia army? That is very nice of you.
Yeah. Okay. The reason why you need this card is because it ships the Presidential Palace. To my knowledge, I might be missing something, but I think this is the only way you get the Presidential Palace. And it trains these ultimate units that I've been talking about with the age-ups, right? These different, like if I pick the Ecuadorian, I get the Granaderos de Taki, I get the Canal Police with the Panamanian, the Colombian, I get the Independistas. I could further upgrade my Irish, which would unlock San Patricio as a kind of cannon and some more Irish technologies. Speaking of, I need to go over there. But I want to play with the Colombian. I want to get the Independistas out. So I'm going to do that. Let's get out our Irish immigrants. Their whole shtick, the Irish devotee, they can heal allied units. So maybe you want to send these guys to sort of claim resources forward near your base. And then they can actually heal up units that are weaker. Pretty cool synergy there. I really like the Irish because of... Potato farming is pretty nice, especially if the game goes late. But Clovers doubles the XP trickle of temples and Irish houses. When, considering, I've got that special card where I've got 2 temples going, right? I can double their XP. And then Irish houses also trickle XP, and that XP gets doubled now with that tech. Yeah, we'll just build as many Irish houses as I can. I love it. Get me more XP. Alright. You guys, you can start... Oh, wait. No. Y'all go over there. And you guys are working on your sheep. Good stuff. I could use my shipments to ship more Spanish technologies to get more shearers out. Help my eco going. Really quickly. Let me see if I can train one of each, maybe like upgrade them and just no, that does not work. I'm sorry, that's a DE code. Alright, let's send the conscripts forward. Send these guys forward. And we've got to get up this presidential palace. Look at that, isn't that cool? One of the things I love about this mod are the unique architectural, like every civilization. It has its own unique buildings and its unique look. it seems like there's so little about the mod that is just default AoE3. They really went out of their way to make the civs feel unique and cool, not just mechanically, but even aesthetically. I haven't even talked about the native camps. Now, the Bhakti, I think, are old. So on this map, I don't know that we're seeing a new native camp there. But there are a lot of new maps with a lot of new civilizations. A lot of new minor civs. Okay, here we go. Because of the politicians I picked earlier, right, I get the Independista. These are Honor Guard, Neo Granadino, unique unit, ranged heavy infantry with a strong hand attack. So I'm gathering they're kind of like super musketeer, right? We also have the Rompelineas, a Venezuelan unique unit, hand cavalry, great against heavy infantry. And if I'm not mistaken, this unit also shows up when you pick Venezuela in earnest. But because Gran Colombia, if you know your history, it's sort of an umbrella civilization for a lot of these other civs. You know, Simon Bolivar, I mean, he is considered the founding father of like almost all of South America, right? So they kind of get to, Gran Colombia gets to double dip into a lot of other civilizations' unique units if you make the right tech choices. Let's move you guys over here. Okay. What I want to do, let me get my, so here's my conscript. And Escopetero, put him right here. Pardo will go there. Maquetero there. And we will move the Voltiguero there. Alright, here they are kind of before. I'm going to go ahead and pick up their Age 2 upgrades. And maybe pick that one up too. We'll come back to you guys in a minute. But first, let's move out with the Independista and probably go ahead and get pretty close to ending the game here. One more aspect I got to show off as I'm thinking about it. Very cool. The Arsenal. In Wars of Liberty, at least with the South Americans, I'm not sure if this is true for all of the civs, but I find that the techs are so much more useful than what we see in the default AoE3 game. So we've got the full dress giving heavy infantry more HP. We have hand infantry attack increase. The Escopetero area damage increased. Grenadiers throwing grenades further. The scout cavalry getting more HP. Assault cavalry costing less. Ranged cavalry getting stronger attack. Artillery doing more damage against infantry. And training faster. All of those technologies feel really good to me, where in regular AoE3, I find that most of the time I want to skip about half the techs. They're not really useful for my strategy. The Central Americans. I'm not even sure what their sort of unique features and bonuses are. We have an artillery foundry, which looks very different from my artillery foundry, right? This is a great showcase of how unique the mod is, where even within, you know, two civilizations that obviously belong to the same culture group, you know, Gran Colombia versus Central America, the buildings look totally different. Look at this town center compared to this town center, right? What do they have over here? That must be a town hall, yeah. There's Simon Bolivar. Let me see, do I have... Alright. Let's see. Because we're in Age 4, I can ship some cannons. That might be a good idea. Okay. One of my favorite cards is this one right here. The Admirable Campaign. You get a second Libertador, and you now get way more XP from fallen enemies. So it's a great way to start racking up those shipments, whether it's for the cards or for using your immigrants to ship in, you know, new units and that kind of thing to supplement your army. Look at this, with the Germans, we've gotten access to more stuff. The Batallo de Diabo Legion, and then here we have the Krupp Steel Cannon. Yes, please. I would love some artillery. The Spanish, we have the Paisano Legion, a skirmisher that trickles coin. Okay, over here. Am I missing my 5th Shearer, or did he just go hiding somewhere? Let me check something here real quick. Alright, let's click right there, and then we're gonna We'll ship some Spanish text. Among the Irish, we now have access to the San Patricio Artillery Legion. Quick-moving artillery, strong against infantry. Just listen to those guns go off. The Jornalero. Central American villager that gives more resources from natural sources. Okay. So it sounds like they might have a stronger economy in the early game, but maybe there's a contrast with how well they do on mills and farms and the like. Interesting. A market. Oh, that's an interesting market design. I like that. That's cool looking. A Confederate colony. The Rebs. Johnny Reb has made his way down here. We got to deal with him. Okay, let's take a look. Oh yeah, you can tell if you kind of do a before and after. These guys have got way sharper uniforms. I think this guy got a whole backpack. He didn't have that before. Kind of wonder. I wonder what their age 3 looks like if they change it all. I'll come back in a second. So definitely, like this game, I wasn't really trying to actually, you know, play a match. There was never a doubt that I was going to win this thing, right? By the way, watch as the Escopetero, they fire off these wave, shotgun shots. Pow, pow, pow. It's really cool. Okay, what do we have here? All right, cannons along the way. You guys can go. What about? Nice. Nice. Interesting that I'm only getting 4 shearers. I wonder. That seems like it's a glitch, possibly. I might want to look into that. Or maybe I'm just doing something wrong. That's also possible. I think... Oh! Hey! One of the coolest features of the mod. I haven't even mentioned this yet in the opening, so this is something special for you guys that have listened all the way to this point. In Wars of Liberty, not only do you have access to the normal age 1 through 5, but if you get to age 5, you have access to a unique technology, Declare Total War, which unlocks World War I, essentially, right? It's a whole new aspect of the game where you get access to airplanes and tanks. You've got to go build oil refineries, and you're training flamethrowers, and you know, it's like this totally different, advanced part of the game, and it can be difficult to get to. It's a really cool part of the mod. It is something that, if you guys want to see it, I would love to showcase it to y'all. I would love to showcase more Wars of Liberty. But that'll only happen if you guys tell me you want to see more. So be sure, I've said it once, I'll say it again, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments below that you really enjoyed this and you want to see more Wars of Liberty, okay? And then I can do all kinds of things. I could showcase the Great War part of the mod. I could do, you know, some other civilizations, and showcase how they're unique. I could even do like a tier list. I think that would be fun. If I am not mistaken, I think that's going to be it. Let's go ahead and pause right here as we take a look at some of the changes. Yeah, I think all the text went through, so yeah. It's just really, really cool. The unit skins, the architecture skins, the unique features. This mod is absolutely amazing to play. I think if you like AoE3, if you have the Classic Edition, if you have the single player, if you really like the single player experience, this game is a must-get. Right? For multiplayer, you know, it might be a little tougher just to kind of wrap your head around all of the features that are available to you. I'm not sure exactly how competitively balanced the mod is, but I know there's so much stuff that's just really, really cool to play with. Now, as I wrap up this video, you might be asking me, Kaiser, you said at the very beginning of the video, I might never get the chance to play this mod. Why is that? Well, this mod is only available for the Classic Legacy Edition of AoE3. This is not a Definitive Edition mod, and the mod developers have said that it would just be too difficult to transition this mod over to Definitive Edition. So, unless they ever change their mind, which I personally hope they do, I would love to see that. But I'm going to take them at their word and say that they're probably never actually going to do that. This is going to remain only for the Legacy version. And the Legacy version of AoE3 never goes on sale. So if you want to play this game, you'd have to buy it at full price and then pick up the mod on top of that. But if you do own the Legacy Edition, this is an incredible mod, a must try. You guys would love to check it out. So I hope you all enjoyed the video. Again, let me know if you want to see more Wars of Liberty. I really appreciate you guys watching the videos, sharing them with your friends, liking and subscribing, all of that. Thank you all so much. For now, this is yours truly, the Iron Kaiser, signing off. Have a great one out there.